At the beginning of the film, a scientist is shown. He was in the process of assimilating a strange species into his body. His eyes went blue after that. And then he transforms into a werewolf, and the sequence ends there. Then the movie's main character, Lang Jun, appears. Who was it that was bringing the things via car? After that, Lang Jun pays attention to the news that some people were inexplicably disappearing in the city. In the meantime, Lang Jun gets a call from his uncle Jong, who wishes him a good birthday. On his way home, he sees an upside-down automobile. He tries to help the man in the car. When he gets into that car, the creature from the beginning of the film transfers into the body of Lang Jun, emerging from the body of that boy. As a result, he is converted into a werewolf as well. Then a clandestine military force arrives. It appeared as if they had arrived fully prepared to apprehend him. However, it was insufficient. As Lang Jun transforms into a werewolf, he easily dispatches everyone in the area. However, a female fighter fires a green laser at him. Then he bolts for the door. However, this did not sit well with the leader of that force, because he was looking for someone who could completely adapt to that beast. As a result, he had yet to meet a male. On the other hand, when he gets home, Lang Jun eats strangely. He also acts as though he is one of the animals. He vomits as a result of overeating in the end. When he looks in the mirror, he sees himself reflected as a werewolf. As a result, he is terrified. In his bathtub, he also loses consciousness. As he wakes up, he notices some changes in himself. His ability to listen had greatly improved. He listens to the news at the same time. They discovered the identical searches last night, which was broadcasting that the scratches were observed for 12 years. Lang Jun becomes enraged when he realizes this. When Lang Jun arrives at work in the morning, his employer expresses his displeasure with him. He'd left his filled goods automobile on the road the night before. Later, in a fit of wrath, Lang Jun's boss tries to smack him with a cane, but he strikes back. As a result, the wall may be struck. And it is slammed into the wall with such power that the wall cracks. Witnessing this, his boss is terrified. And Lang Jun walks away from the scene without saying anything. Meanwhile, a man can be seen keeping an eye on Lang Jun. With this, Lang Jun also protects a young girl on the road from an accident. He also recalls a day in his boyhood when he was teased by two children. However, due to his frailty, Lang Jun is unable to take any action. At the same time, his friend arrives to save him. Meanwhile, he recalls that his friend's boxing match is scheduled for today. As a result, he immediately moves to watch his friend's battle, where it is witnessed that his friend defeats her opponent. Despite this, her opponent pushes her down. At the same time, Lang Jun is catching up with her and going forward. Meanwhile, Lang Jun's boss's son arrives. He dares Lang Jun to a boxing bout, which he gladly accepts. As their fight continues, Lang Jun loses his senses with one punch. At the same time, the force's chief may be seen keeping an eye on Lang Jun. It's also worth noting that the scientist seen at the start of the film is none other than Lang Jun's father, who died as a result of a cause. Lang Jun's mother had died of an illness as well. As a result, Lang Jun spent his boyhood alone. It's also revealed that Lang Jun was the company's final chance for a successful experiment, because the beast inhabiting Lang Jun's body had become completely connected to him. As a result, the leader of the army orders his members to catch Lang Jun as quickly as feasible. When Lang Jun awoke, on the other hand, he was at his friend's house. Lang Jun, she inquires, "Why did you accept that challenge despite my prohibition?" He's telling her this when he discovers a bandage on his friend's cheek, which belonged to Sanyulian, a corporation. In reality, Lang Jun's father and that lady used to work for this company. That female soldier who tried to shoot Lang Jun with her gun that night. Lang Jun's buddy then shows him a photo of her brother, who had vanished in an enigmatic manner. Lang Jun informs her that he has seen her brother working in the same firm. Members of that company arrive at the same time to apprehend Lang Jun. To keep himself hidden, Lang Jun now hides under their car. He also puts his phone in their car so he can track them down. Later, a friend of Lang Jun's inquires, "Why did they come here?" Lang Jun informs her that they have come to catch me because I have a monster that they are studying. Lang Jun rushes to his uncle, Zhang, for additional information. When Lang Jun arrives at his uncle's laboratory to see him, he finds it on fire. He shields him from the fire and inquires about the company with his uncle Zhang. But he is completely unaware of this. After that, Lang Jun will return. Then it was discovered that he was being pursued once more. He grabs him at this point and delivers him to her pal. He is told by that boy that he did not want to chase him. But all he wants to know is about that business. As a result, he was pursuing him, and he was also a hacker who had quickly apprehended dangerous criminals. As a result, he adds that young man to his team. Because that boy gives Lang Jun all of the facts regarding the company. He informs him, it's such a well-known oil trading company. However, this company has a sinister side, since they trade illegal chemical weapons from other countries. Lang Jun's father and uncle both used to work for the same company. Meanwhile, he informs Lang Jun's friend that he had contacted her before the abduction of her brother. He also claims that before going missing, all missing people are offered the opportunity to play a game. Lang Jun's friend concurs, stating that her brother received the same offer. Lang Jun was moving somewhere the next day with a pal. He receives a call from the same boy at the same moment, who had given him all of the information regarding that company. The commander and his military then arrive, and he gives more details. Lang Jun prepares to accompany them in order to help his pal. Lang Jun walks away and sits in their car with them. In the meantime, his pal is following that car. And she comes to a complete stop in front of that car. She fights the members of that force there as a brilliant boxer. And after freeing Lang Jun from them, she flees. Then they both go to Uncle Zhang and question him about everything. Now, his Uncle Zhang comes clean and admits that he and his father used to work for that company, where he wished to produce medication capable of curing any sickness. When everyone realized of Lang Jun's father's death, they were all depressed, and they all stopped working on their projects as a result. Now, Lang Jun inquires about the cause of his father's death after hearing Zhang's facts. He explains that after his mother died of an illness, his father lost his spirit, and he was forbidden to work for that company any longer. Those company's runners, on the other hand, did not like your father. So, after locking your father in a room and setting fire to it, they kill him. Knowing this, Lang Jun becomes enraged, but Uncle Zhang stops him, telling him, don't take any action against the corporation. It was the most powerful corporation. In the meantime, the company's owner arrived with his guys. He also eliminates Zhang before Lang Jun. Witnessing his uncle die in front of him infuriated Lang Jun. As a result, he gets converted into a werewolf once more. And he starts fighting everyone. During the combat, Lang Jun was hit by a green laser. As a result, he had returned to his previous state. Before they can get him, Lang Jun's friend knocks him down from the window, preventing them from catching him. That youngster also approaches with this, and he bans Lang Jun from taking any action because they have not been properly prepared up to this point. They can't harm your friend until they get you, he explains. When Lang Jun hears this, he trusts him and follows him. Now that Lang Jun has left this location, he misses his old memories of lounging on the beach. He also takes a look at his locket, which contains a photo of himself and his father. He'd also put on the gloves for this. When he exposes everything to the youngster, he realizes that there was a point where his father lost his breath. They are now on their way to that location. When Lang Jun arrives, they are detected. With the help of his locket, he discovers a box and opens it. In that box, he discovers a recording that his father had re-recorded for him. He tells Lang Jun about an experiment in which he created a medication to save his mother. First and foremost, he tried the experiment on himself, and his mother died as a result. The firm, on the other hand, began to employ that medicine as a weapon once he stopped the experiment. Many individuals died as a result of this. So they all resolved to try to put an end to the company's illicit activities. On the other hand, it can be observed that the company's president was in Zhang's laboratory. And from there, he was removing all proofs. Then they discover an object, and the head of that company is killed as he catches a glimpse of it. On the other hand, Lang Jun had arrived at the experimentation laboratory. However, they all use their weapon to take out the security guards at that location. Then there's the appearance of Lang Jun's companion. When she observes, she also notices her brother in the opposite room. When she sees her brother, she promises him that Lang Jun would come to rescue them. When Lang Jun enters the laboratory, a large crowd gathers. But it's all due to the werewolf's superpower that he ends up with. After that, they needed to gather evidence against this corporation. As a result, they all go in various paths. Lang Jun arrives at the location to save his pal. When he's looking for the keys to save his friend, Uncle Jong enters and tells him, they made that medicine with his blood. Lang Jun's father wanted to make the medicine he wanted to make. Before that, Lang Jun murmured a single phrase, after which his uncle and father's video cassettes were aired. In which Jong wished to collaborate with the other members of the company to create chemical weapons. Lang Jun's father, on the other hand, was preventing him from doing so. After watching the video, Lang Jun realized that the company's manipulator is none other than Uncle Jong, who was responsible for his father's death. Meanwhile, the company's executive assistant arrives, who is the first to notice that the company's manipulator is none other than Jong. Because Jong had also killed the company's head, she was telling the truth to Lang Jun. As a result, that assistant began firing at Jong, but he was unconcerned. Because the drug manufactured from Jun's blood had previously been administered into his body by him. He transforms into a werewolf, and Lang Jun follows suit. Later, they engage in a massive brawl there. Both come outside during the fight. Lang Jun's friend and her brother, on the other hand, arrive outside, and Lang Jun's friend wraps a rope around Jong's neck to save him. Nevertheless, Jong suffers no injury as a result of this. He, on the other hand, injures Lang Jun's friend. He killed her first, then Lang Jun hauled the rope higher. Lang Jun hands his friend an electric cable. They end with Jong when they use this method. Lang Jun is shown reading a book at his home at the end of the film. The news has reported that all of the missing people have been found. They all, however, bear a peculiar symbol on their bodies. However, Lang Jun had exposed the truth about that company to the public. And the movie ends here. Thank you for watching.